Greetings, this is Ron Curtis of the Boffomundo Show. I get questions. I go down the street, people question me, stuff like, why do you look like you do? And you really shouldn't park there. But then there are others who ask questions about the Boffomundo Show. And besides who did the theme music, which I answered in my last video, incorrectly, I might add, is where did we get these guests? How on earth in that short period of time did you get Robert Fripp and Phil Collins and John Wetton and all of them? How could this be? Well, it is the person called Tony Harrington that made it be, the late Tony Harrington. And he was in the mid 70s a A&R man for Atlantic Records. Now, A&R means artists and repertoire, and it's usually the babysitter of the bands as they came into the various cities. He knew where things were and, things like that. And he traveled the world with all of them, with Yes and Genesis and ELP and King Crimson. He knew all of them. He was English, so he had a familial sort of an effect with these guys, and they were obviously available to him via telephone at the time, and he made a deal with us that if we incorporated the name of his record company, this is 1979 now, called All Ears Records, mixed in with the name of the Boffomundo Show, and if we would, to a certain extent, promote his records and things like that, and have a logo, and so the show was called the All Ears Boffomundo Show at that point. Uh, he said, "Do you want to see Robert Fripp? You want to interview him?" We said, we're kind of scared, right? This is like the godfather of progressive rock. In other videos, I will go through exactly what that experience was like. But Tony, as I mentioned earlier, was the operator of All Ears Records, which took bands from, let's say, Italy and Japan, and got the masters and pressed them in the United States under a licensing deal. And that's how I got to learn about the Far East Family Band with Fumio Miyashita, who was also a friend of Tony's. He's the one that got us Fumio, who just was able to create two classic Boffomundo shows using his array of synthesizers and gongs and bells and flutes and all sorts of stuff, which we did not expect, which of course resulted in an album, the Fumio album, Live on the Boffomundo Show. And so this is where we got them all. And, the next one we got was actually Bernardo Lanzetti, which is one of my favorite interviews. He was the lead singer of PFM, who were a very popular Italian band in the United States in the 70s. And it was one of the better interviews I thought that we did because he was able to really break down how the Italian progressive rock movement started in the 70s. I was astonished when I went to record stores that I'd see all these bands from Italy and Germany and the Netherlands and Denmark and everywhere, and it was a pretty amazing time, but it had run its course, and by 1979, it wasn't really cool to be into progressive rock. All these bands were called dinosaurs. And the punk movement had started in 1976, which was a back to basics sort of a rock and roll sort of thing. where you didn't need to be a technician, you didn't need to be a master pianist. Um, you could just get a few guys with guitars and bass and drums and three chords and just hammer it out. And especially in England, it really took over. And since all of these progressive bands were English, they were sort of looked at as being old fashioned and this and that. These guys were probably all, close to 30, if not more. And these other guys were 20 and 19 and this, and it happens every generation. So the Boffomundo Show had a unique place in music history. These guys had been, especially John Wetton, had gone through experiences that they really had problems with. Um, and already, since King Crimson broke up in 75, actually it was in 74, uh, these guys had to get jobs. Bill Bruford and John Wetton, they had to get jobs. John Wetton ended up in Roxy Music. Bill Bruford was on Fish Out of Water, the Chris Squire solo album. And when John appeared on our show, he had a list of grievances. And that's what made that particular show very interesting. And we get a lot of comments about that as well. I'm going to go through a few more things in the future to answer any of your questions about the origins of any of the shows that we did. And if you have any things that you are interested in finding out about the show, you can always leave me a message on YouTube. Boffomundo is life. Thank you, all of you, and I hope you have a happy new year. Adios.